And next up is, and I'm going to get it right this time, Nikki Dinki. Is that better?
That's correct, that's correct.
All right, she's going to give us her favorites in food.
Well, thank you. I am Nikki Dinki. You know, I love living in New York City when it comes to food. There is always so much to talk about. We're experiencing things, and let's face it, there's a lot to taste. And 2010 was no different. I always say that New York City can make a great chef out of anyone. There's so many shops full of unique, fresh ingredients that really inspire you to cook, even if your kitchen's the size of a closet. Well, my favorite new food shop of 2010 is a 50,000 square foot store filled with any and everything that will make you feel like a true Italian. It's appropriately called Eataly. Now, a large store like this is something that, in general, a lot of New Yorkers aren't so keen on. You know, New York is known for its small, unique shops and restaurants, and some people are afraid these big monster shops are going to ruin what we love about New York. And listen, guys, I do love my favorite local cheese shop. I love that one place I know that makes that best loaf of bread. But I gotta say, it's really nice to have a one-stop shop. You know, I grew up in the suburbs. I'm used to the super Walmarts and the giant Targets where you can get everything from casserole to hair dye, all in one stop. And Eataly for me is kind of like that in New York. I can get my truffles to my fresh pasta to my gelato all in one stop, and I kind of love it. Eataly is located on 23rd Street and 5th Avenue if you want to check it out. One of the highlights for me is definitely all their fresh pastas. Now yes, I do love making my own pasta, as you all know out there if you watch my cooking show, but let's face it, it can be a lot of work. And you know, it's just nice to have the option of buying it, or maybe you don't have all the ingredients like I do to go out and be making fresh pasta in your Manhattan apartment. And they don't just have regular pasta, you know, the long strands of spaghetti. They have sheets for lasagna. You can make your own ravioli out of what they have. And they have every shape possible. And did I mention, they're making it right in front of you. So you kind of get this show out of it too. It's a very interactive experience. Well, on top of this, they have an amazing seafood section. Last time I was there, I actually found a fish that I enjoyed on my last trip to Italy, which was a rarity where I was in Italy, so a really surprising thing to find there, a really cool thing to find. And of course, let's not forget the gelato section, the butcher, the cheese section, including a place where you can buy fresh mozzarella, which is once again made in front of you, which yes, I do like to make my own cheese also, but it's nice to buy it. And of course they have a vast array of wines, beers, olive oils, tomatoes, produce, and of course the fresh made bread, which fills the air. Throw on top of all of this classes and 2 restaurants, all within the 50,000 square feet, which I guess isn't that impressive because it is 50,000 square feet, but it's definitely a really cool place that I think is really worth checking out, and I think you'll like it even if you're a little fearful of the monster shop. Now, as much as that's a lot of fun, I also understand a lot of you out there don't always like to cook your own meals in your kitchen size or closet-sized kitchens. So I want to talk about one restaurant from 2010, even though I have so many I could talk about. Now, this is a restaurant that's not one of the fancy places because you know what? More often than not, I find myself on a random weekday night with a friend just kind of looking for a place that's inviting, busy but not too busy, has a great selection of wine, and just some great bites. I mean, that's what we're kind of always looking for on a daily basis. And I was very lucky to find a new place this year that fits that bill and so much more. I'm talking about Cask. It's a bar and restaurant located on 33rd Street between 3rd and Lexington. It's just a block from the 6 train, so it's really nice and convenient from wherever you're coming from. You walk in and you immediately notice the wood, the candlelight. It's this beautiful environment that just beckons you to come in and stay all night long, maybe even past when you should stay. The floor is actually a 100-year-old reclaimed wood floor, and they've really prided themselves on their craftsmanship and their woodwork. It's just, it's a piece of art in a very subtle way. It's just a really beautiful place. And it's dim, which I love because I feel like you're always kind of really talking with the person you're talking to in your conversation instead of everyone in the whole bar hearing your conversation. And yes, if you guessed it, the name Cask means they have a great selection of cask beers. But if you're not into beers, do not worry. They have an array of fun and awesome cocktails, including their blood orange jalapeno margarita. Those sound like 4 of the best words in the whole wide world. And of course, for me, who likes the wine, there's some great wines by the glass, including some that are on happy hour till 8 p.m., so if you get there early, you just might get a deal. And when you eventually pick up the menu, you will be so happy you did. They have a great selection of small plates, including pretzel-crusted crab cakes, which I think is just an awesome combination, and Philly cheesesteak spring rolls. That's right. I said Philly, cheesesteak, spring rolls, you just gotta try them. And of course, then you can move on to the bigger plates, the burgers, the flatbreads, including the perfect, light and delicious wild mushroom flatbread, which I cannot get enough of. However, if you do go, I am requiring you to order the truffle mac and cheese. If you don't, you will be missing out. Because at some point, someone in the restaurant will order it, and you will smell it, and you'll say, what is that? It's the truffle mac and cheese. And I always try to resist, because I think, oh, it's not that great for me, maybe I won't get it this time. Then someone orders it, and let's just say it's the very next thing I do is order maybe 1 or 2. So definitely go and check it out. You know, I think that there's so many great places in New York. Do you guys find that there's just always those little hidden gems? It's just really neat. Like, you find them in your own neighborhood, you find them everywhere, and there's always so many more every single year.
But I find as New Yorkers, I don't know if you guys agree, but we tend to find our place we like and go to the same place over and over again. I think it's great to explore.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the food vendors, the ones in Madison Square Park last year, especially Roberta's with their traveling pizza oven. Really good pizza. And waffles and things, and Bar Suzette. You get a little drink there outside.
Well, it's awesome. I love that so many things come on wheels now.
I mean, 2010 has definitely been the year of the vendor. Have you guys even heard of the Vendy Awards?
I have.
It's a yearly award for the street vendors and, you know, the trucks, and they just had their 6th annual Vendy Awards on Governor's Island, and it's kind of amazing. But I feel like you can't throw an empty Starbucks cup in New York City without hitting a vendor now. Like,
Yes.
they're everywhere.
And is that a good thing or a bad thing? For me, I think it's a good thing until I start to see the trucks that are from the bigger restaurants and they're just loading up a truck and putting it in the street. That I'm not quite as into, but I do love when it's just like, I think a lot of artists actually are doing this. It's not a lot of money. You know, you throw your money into getting a truck and suddenly you're on the go with your own restaurant doing whatever you please, wherever you please. I think it's a really cool thing.
There's some really great, there was a great one outside of our studios here that
The
just
pizza
served
one?
steak.
Oh.
Ooh.
There's a pizza one too that looks pretty good.
The pizza one, not so much.
No?
But the
No.
steak
I actually
one was
like
really
pizza
good,
one.
and the barbecue one. My favorite place in New York City now is Burdock's because they used to be in Hollywood and Cambridge. So when I was in school, I would always go to Burdock's for their iced white chocolate.
Is that a truck?
So good.
Just sounds
No, it's
good.
not a truck. It's
Okay.
it's their own boutique chocolatier.
They're chocolatiers with their chocolatiering.
Well, with the desserts, though, it's so hard. I feel like dessert trucks give me a great excuse to eat a dessert. Like, I feel like when you go and sit down at a meal, you feel so guilty about having that dessert. But when it comes in a truck and you're walking along in New York City, you're like, all right, well, I've been walking for a little while. I can have a cupcake and a milkshake.
Yeah, or the Pinkberry-esque yogurt truck outside of our station too is a favorite. Apparently, I spent a lot of time here.
I can't imagine why.
The trucks around here. Thank you so much, Nikki.
Absolutely. Go out and go experience some new restaurants this year.
You may not.